right, welcome back to the Road Trip podcast, and we have a very special episode and a very special guest with you today. We're here with Vince Domani, and for some of you that might not know, Vince has really been the godfather of the online fitness industry for the last 10 years. Crazy enough, when I was at university in Canada, me and my buddies would watch Vince Domani's videos on YouTube. We'd see him everywhere, and he was doing an amazing job, and I emailed him one day in 2009. I said, Vince, I love what you're doing. So inspiring. You're killing it. This is exactly what I want to do. What advice do you have for me? And then he hit me back, and he was like, gave me a couple of cool tips, and then I never expected to meet him. And it's cool to kind of now I'm in his same social circle. We run through ideas, and now he's on the podcast to kind of share some business tips on how to actually build a successful fitness business in 2017.
Do they know the relationship between you, me, and Mikey?
Vince, they probably don't.
They probably tell them, yeah.
So Vince's younger brother is Mike Delmonte, an amazing film director, and so he's done a few of my videos, the Bruce Wayne, the Wolf of Fitness, and
all your amazing
all those film adaptations.
Videos. Yeah, those are your best videos. I love those videos. It's funny because we met.
But he wouldn't do it for Vince.
You know what? My best videos are all the ones. My video team's amazing. They're great. But Mikey has that special art. He that stylistic ability to create something that gives you those goosebumps. So he does my Day in the Life series and the Muscle Camp TV series. So I still, he's still looking after his big brother.
Good, man. Good. And we got Chris here. So let's kind of start her off and basically right now the situation is, there's all these YouTubers and Instagrammers and people, creating new products, and you can talk to anyone. Like a lot of people, their goal isn't to be an actor anymore, be a singer. They wanna be a YouTuber or Instagrammer. They wanna make money with the internet, and they have no clue what to do.
Yeah, so I want to stop you right there. So one of the big things, if you want to get started on an online business, is you have to figure out, what do you want this to do? Do you want to become rich, or do you want to become famous? Because there's two different ways about going about that. There's a lot of famous people out there that are broke. All right, I know there's a guy, I can't even say his name, but he's got over 2 million YouTube followers, and he reached out to me for business advice because he's living paycheck to paycheck. He's a great guy. He's got a huge following, but he doesn't have any systems in place. He's not creating any products. He has no services. He's an entertainment channel. So he's trained his audience to come to him for entertainment, which is great. He's famous, but he's broke. So again, and then you can see the opposite end of the spectrum. There's guys who are running very successful businesses you may have never even heard of. And they're running things under the radar, and they're just very savvy. And I'm not saying you can't have a bit of both, but you do kind of want to understand, like, what am I trying to get out of this, so you can start looking at guys who have a business model that resembles that. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know what the funny thing is, if you get the famous part, but you don't build a successful business, you have all this pressure to live up to a certain image. Because people assume you got 2 million followers on Instagram or YouTube.
It's rich and famous. That's the term.
Rich and famous. Yeah. So they assume, this person is doing the coolest trips, the funnest stuff. They're driving the hottest cars, having the best experiences. So some of these people, they have no money, but they're trying to put up this image.
Yeah.
And it's stressful.
And that doesn't last very long. Here's the problem. I actually learned this from my pastor. He said this: you can't fix what you fake. Right?
Yeah. Until
you come out and say, hey, things aren't actually going that well, you're never going to go find help from somebody else. You're never actually going to fix the problem. So if that's what you're in for, just to fake it and make it look like you're living large, but you're really not, then, hey, well,
and that's
not what I'm not in. I don't think we're into that.
And that's actually one thing that I found very, very interesting is, when I built Keto Body, there was so much passion there. I had a really strong message. I had my own approach to fitness that worked amazing. I started sharing it, and people were loving it. They're joining the course and all this, and I just figured, okay, if someone else also has 100,000 subscribers, even 1 million subscribers, they can just launch a product and they'll do very well too. And no, it's never the case. There's tons of people with big followings, and they can't get one person to buy a single product.
Yeah, we did a test once to sell Keto Body with very famous Instagram person who sold 3 copies in a week with like over 1 million Instagram followers.
No kidding.
And
Just three programs. That was
and
it.
this comes back to the famous and you want to because some people they don't have a strong brand.
Yeah, I started to like I heard a quote once that was really cool that kind of shaped my thinking around this subject. Was the more invisible you are, the more powerful you can become. And then it kind of like, if you think about, it's like the opposite of the fame, because the fame limits someone. But if the people that are invisible, like once I started getting into, mastermind groups and started really connecting with business owners that are doing big business, you're like you said, like a lot of them, you've never heard of them.
Yeah.
And you've never even seen their ads because they're marketing to super specific, like helping, old people with memory loss,
niches,
or, that kind of thing. And they're building their business very specifically to serve that one audience. But they do a great job with it, but they're not famous at all. They're
that's
just
great. So I
invisible.
think that's the first thing, is you want to try and figure out what your business model is going to be. We have very specific business models. Our business models, we're front and center. We're the leaders. We're the tribe leaders, if you will, and we're the ones who are sharing the message. All right, so that comes with a lot of pros, but also comes with a lot of cons. Right? If you don't want to be on camera and receive criticism, this business is not for you.
Yeah.
All right, or at least a YouTube channel is not for you, and that's fine. You might do better with a different traffic channel like podcasting or Facebook or Instagram. There's a lot of different traffic channels. One of the things is to try and figure out where are your people hanging out, and where can you have a message that resonates with those people. So before we get to that, though, I think we should talk about some more like fundamentals, like what really is marketing. And I was just telling these guys before, if you had a conversation with people, they'd say it means a lot of different things, but for me, I summarize marketing with one word, and that word is beliefs. All right, marketing is your beliefs. So before you start thinking about starting a YouTube channel, podcasts, you really have to get in tune with, what do you believe? When I started my fitness business as a transformed skinny to muscular guy, my beliefs, and to this day they are very similar, I've evolved in some areas over the years, were that you can build muscle 100% drug-free, without supplements, without great genetics, and in less time. That was it. That was my belief. I lived that out. I showed others who were doing it. I showed how I did it. And the entire brain was built around that one belief. So my job was simply to become prolific and go as many places as possible. I wrote on bodybuilding.com and Ironman magazine and Ask Men and all the different magazines. And I started the YouTube channel early on. I was doing affiliate promotions and things. And all I talked about was that one big idea. You can build a lot of muscle in a short period of time without these three things. And because I could back it up, it wasn't hype, right? It's not hype if you've got facts to back it up. And that's essentially how I started. So my encouragement to people who want to start an online business, if we were working one-on-one, I'd ask you, what do you believe? Are you a keto guy? Are you an intermittent fasting guy? Or are you a strength guy? What's your approach to transforming your body? If I said right now, hey, I want to sign up for your program, and you've got to send me everything. We're filming this right now, Thursday. I want to start Monday. What would you send me between now and Monday morning so I could get started? And that's where you start. And then you just start thinking about, what do I believe? Because until you get clear on that, none of the tactics we can give you on, Facebook ads and recruiting affiliates and creating, a great front-end product and a membership site, none of that stuff matters, because no one's going to be listening. And the most important thing in this business is that you own one thing. And you know what that one thing is? It's attention. If you don't have people's attention, you got nothing. So how do we keep people's attention? Well, we need to tell a really good story. It has to be believable. It has to be authentic. And it has to be one that people can buy into. And they have to see this story as something that I call a trade up. They have to see something, wow, I really love Greg's lifestyle. He's so chill about his nutrition. He's just, laid back. He always looks good year round. He doesn't live in the gym. Like, it's believable because he lives it out and he shows it over and over and over. And that's what ultimately is going to get people to say, I want to follow this guy. Like, he goes out in the weekends, he enjoys his favorite foods, he tracks things, but he's not like overly obsessive about I just like this guy. But then there's going to be another group of people that say, that guy's not for me. You got to train more than 3 days a week, intermittent fasting, that doesn't work. And that's okay, because Greg understands something that a lot of people don't understand, and that you need to understand if you want to build a big business. And one of the things is that it's okay to polarize. It's okay to polarize because these are his beliefs. Not everyone's going to agree with your beliefs. So that's where everything starts. And there's a marketing saying that, if you get into marketing circles, you hear people say this: if you want to monetize, you have to polarize. So that's kind of the cool thing. When people come into your world, now they trust you, now they want to take that next step, and then they learn about your programs. But no one's going to go to your sales page or your website to buy your program if they're not in alignment first with your beliefs, right?
Yeah.
If I don't believe intermittent fasting works, I'm never even going to go check out his website. If he doesn't believe that baby weights are going to build muscle, he's not even going to check out my website. So you have to understand, you have to have something that's very, very at your core, at your DNA, what you truly live and breathe. If you come and see me train at the gym, I do work with baby weights. Like, I don't use a lot of weight, but it works, and I can teach you why, right? And he's a walking billboard of his own message. So that's what you don't have. You cannot be another Greg Gallagher. You cannot be another Vince Domani or whoever you look up to. You have to figure out what you believe in, and then you start teaching that.
Yeah, that is so important. I mean, absolutely. If you're the same as everyone else, if it's unclear how you're different, then there's no sense of desire for anyone to like try and look into it, to join the program. Yeah. It's like, it's just like everything else. You have to polarize. And then also, I think a lot of people, they don't realize how much work goes into this. They don't realize that if you're going to actually build an audience of people that are following you,
Yeah.
they're joining your programs, that are like, obsessed. Like with Kino Body, we have 20,000 plus people in our Facebook group. We have probably hundreds of posts every day. Like, they're all in. They're going crazy at this. And so people think they can just, do a little research, get them to working out, and just build this big, huge fitness brand. It's got to stem from a lot of passion, a lot of years and years of training and research. And for me, like my story, and you might be able to relate to this as well, Vince or Chris, is that, when I was obsessed with fitness when I was 13, 14. From then on, I tried all the main programs people were doing. I was doing it starting strength, build stars, some hypertrophy. I moved on to like different types of routines, kept testing, tweaking, recording, tons of journals, dozens of journals of my lifts and everything. And I started training with different people. And over the course of, years and years, I just sort of did I just kind of tracked progress. Okay, what worked best for me? And I sort of refined it. I took this person's concept, I took this person's, I tweaked it. The Bruce Lee approach of discarding what is, keep what's good, discard what's useful.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
And then you end up, with an approach that is pretty much different than a lot of other people's, but there's still similarities. And then the same thing with nutrition. All right, here's my goal. Let me try this approach. Let me try low carb. Let me try this. Let me try fasting. I need to tweak this because this I can't stick to this. And then you come up with your own approach, but this is something that probably most people will never want to do.
Yeah. So you touch on one thing. We're going to come back to that. You're talking about like the tip of the iceberg and what they see, but what they don't see beneath the surface. So we'll come to that. I want to talk about a 3-step process that I work through with clients to help them identify like, where should I start? And these
are your business clients.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to me, they've seen the tip of the iceberg. They've seen the big YouTube channel. They've seen the guy with all the products. They've seen the guy with the membership site. They've seen the guy with the supplement line. And like, I want that. But where we need to start is with a 3-step process, 3 simple questions. I'll go through this really quickly because I take a while to do this exercise in a seminar. But here's the questions, all right? So you're going to want to grab a pen and paper right now. You're going to want to start writing this down, and you're going to want to start brainstorming this after the call here. So the first question is, Greg's already touched on it, is what are you passionate about? What could you do the rest of your life for free, all right? Don't overthink this. If I put a gun to your head, what could you do for free the rest of your life? All right, write those things down. Number 2, what are you credible on? All right, what do your friends ask you for advice on? What do you know more than 99.9% of the people out there on? You don't have to have a PhD in the subject matter. You just have to know this better than the majority of people out there. All right, so what are you credible on? Where's your expertise? Where did you go to school? What certifications do you have? What do your success stories look like? All that kind of stuff. Where have you spoken? What magazines have you written for? What do you help your friends with most? And you start to kind of find, like, I'm really good at this. And then you can start saying no to other things. And then the third thing, and this is the big thing, where is there a ravenous marketplace? So what does ravenous mean? Ravenous means where are people starving for your information? Like, they're so hungry for your information, they're staying up late at night and they're like dying of starvation. Like, they need to be fed your food or else they're malnourished and they're gonna literally die. So where is there a ravenous marketplace? Where are people hungry for what you could serve them? All right. So for me, is there ever going to be a shortage of skinny guys in the world?
No.
Right. So that's a ravenous marketplace. We could list a million examples here. And, the last 10 pounds of body fat, people that want to train at home for 10 minutes a day who are, busy moms, and, golfers who want to take a stroke off their swing, or somebody wants to learn how to play guitar in 15 minutes. Like, you can start looking at all these different marketplaces. And then what you want to do is you want to figure out, where's the ravenous marketplace? Where's my passion? Where's my credibility? And if those things are all of those three things are linked together in what I call a little trifecta, then you're set. And that's when we can now start looking at step 2, and we can start figure out how to create what I call a winning offer. But first, we have to get clear on those 3 things, or else all the tactics, you got the cart in front of the horse.
Absolutely, yeah.
When you do those three things, and you're going to be able to easily just know what's valuable in that market. It's like you're passionate about it, so you know about it. You have credibility behind you, and then you have the marketplace, identified, and you're like, what's valuable here that I can provide? So I think that's something that is a misconception with a lot of people that don't know anything about business, is they don't understand a value exchange and how important that is, because entrepreneurship is really, in my opinion, the only way to change the world, because it relies on value.
Well, you know what the definition of an entrepreneur is? Value creator.
There we go.
So an entrepreneur is a value creator. One of my mentors taught me, Eben Pagans, he taught me to push the free line. So like to push as much free information as possible, and to give, just like you guys are doing with this podcast here. Some of the information I've just shared in this podcast, people paid $1,000 to get access to this past weekend. So we're just, we're trying to, and one of the best ways to sell, I learned this from Frank Kern, 2 words. You know how you sell people? You simply show them that you can help them. If I just keep helping you and helping you and helping you, I want to start a podcast. Let's say you guys had a podcast service and you just kept helping me and helping me and helping me. And then you eventually said, hey, Vince, if you'd like us to run your podcast, we have this service available. I'd be like, yeah, sign me up, because you've already shown me that you can help me. And that's why our what I call my organic content strategy, our content strategy, if you want to label it, our YouTube videos or Instagram posts, they all have value that you can experience if you take action on it right away. Because if you don't see that we can help you, then why in the world would you give us any money? So every single day, we're putting the people that trust us first. How can I create value for this person? How can I create value for this person? How can I help this person? I'm going to keep helping you whether you give me a penny or not. All right? It's just what I want to do. And if they decide to come on board, that's gravy. But this is the approach to business. If you're not prepared to put yourself last and others first, and you're not prepared to push the free line and avoid putting out just generic info, but to really push yourself to put out the best information possible, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, see, and that's one issue is that, 2 things. One is that people are not patient. Right. So people that they're like, oh yeah, I want to get into this online internet fitness space, and they want to get to this sweet level like in a few months.
Yeah.
And it's like, my first year, my even first few months, I was just didn't even care about making money. I just loved it. I was putting out blog posts.
I have a funny story.
Yeah.
So I launched my ebook in 2006, and I worked with a business coach for 6 months, and the site was live. I had my long ass sales copy, and I was just ready to see it rain. So the first week, no sales coming. Didn't get a single sale. All of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, I saw this notification from ClickBank. I got my first sale. I was ecstatic. It was like Christmas morning,
That's like the best
and
feeling.
I opened up the receipt to look at the name, and you know who bought my program?
Your mom.
My mom. About a week later, I got another sale, and it came from another guy that I knew that I worked with in the gym. And that's when I quickly realized this is not going to be easy. So my first year online, I made $10,000. I remember
That was me too. My first year, I did 10,000 too.
in 365 days, I made $10,000. In my second year online, I made $101,000. All right, and I was still working at the gym. So one of the things I want to tell everybody listening is that I did not quit my job right away. I had a coaching client, and he said to me, I've got enough money to make this happen. I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to do this in the next 6 months. And I said, you don't need to do that. Like, you can build the business on the side. Like, what's the pressure to make this happen in 6 months? What's wrong with like even 6 years? Like, what you said, like, what's the rush? Patience. Long story short, his wife wasn't very happy with him in 6 months' time when they ran out of money and he wasn't making any sales and he'd quit his job. So the lesson there, guys, is that you can do this on the side. I was working 40 hours a week when I started my business. I worked my personal trainer job, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Then I'd come back at night and I would work from like 8:30, 9 p.m. each night to like 2, 3 in the morning. I kid you not. And I built it up on the side. I went through a
That's
couple.
what our friend Rusty Moore did too.
Yeah.
He was a manager at a suit shop, and he was working and got to that good level where he was 100% locked in and safe and doing,
Yeah, so until like my second year online, I hit that 6-figure mark. That was more money than I made as a trainer, and that was my cue to have a conversation with my boss. And he saw it coming. He was actually supportive of me the entire time, and he actually introduced me to a lot of this internet world. And so he said, yeah, it doesn't make sense for you to stay here anymore. I'm still great friends with him to this day. He was a longtime mentor of mine. And it was really cool because I quit my job. I like to joke around. I fired my boss, and I went full throttle. And then that was the third year online. I went to 350 grand. And then in my fourth year, I went to 850. And then by my, I think, fifth year online, it was right before I turned 30, I was over 7 figures a year. And I only share that to give you context. Like, I didn't go to 7 figures a year my first year. Very few people do unless they're doing shady stuff. And I don't really know anybody. Anyways, that's another conversation. But it was 5 years of a lot of work. But there was onward and upward progress each year, and there was a lot of things that contributed to that. So all I'm telling
it's
you
just
guys
like building
is
your physique. You're not going to build your best physique in 4 months.
People want
Exactly.
the 90-day
Yeah.
thing.
It's the same
To
parallel.
be a millionaire in 90 days.
I want to tell you guys something. Being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. Most people can't stomach this business. What you guys have seen is what's called the tip of the iceberg. You've seen all the amazing comments on Greg's channel. You see the views. You see the comments. You see the amazing product suite. You see the lifestyle. You see the tip of the iceberg, but you don't see how deep that iceberg goes. You don't see how wide it is. And most people...
We probably have hundreds upon hundreds of hours of sweat equity a week on our business.
You don't know how much risk there's involved, how many
risk
decisions we've made that have flopped. You don't know how many tough conversations we've had with people on our teams, and even for my instance, I'm married, so I have sometimes conversations. I have to tell my wife, hey, for us to go to the next level, here's what's involved, and she's like, her eyes are like wide, like what? That's a lot of money. Like, is there any guarantee here? No, there's no guarantee.
Nope.
There's no guarantee. What do you mean guarantee? Guarantee. Yeah. This isn't we're entrepreneurs. So most people can't stomach this. So anyways, I only say that because it's certainly possible, and that's we talked about masterminds and coaching and working with people that have done this before. That's obviously the proven model. But that probably is your best bet if you want to succeed, because there is a lot that goes into this, and you really do need to be prepared. And the only reason I'm saying this, I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but I want you to be mentally prepared. Right? Because when you hit tough times, when you get your first video up and you only get 10 views, you're going to be like, 10 views? When you put your first Facebook Live video out and you get crickets, and the only person that liked it was your dad, you'll be like, oh my goodness.
And here's the thing is that, and this is, again, the episodes, 27, talking about 2017 here, is that it's a lot harder to get someone to spend money now. online. 5-6 years ago, you could just release a product with a little sales page and people would buy.
Well, that highlights the value thing again, because now it's easy for anybody to just go Facebook Live, start a YouTube channel. There's so much noise, but if you position your business as so clearly valuable, then it becomes easier, and that's how you succeed in 2017.
Yeah, Greg said a really powerful word: patience. You've got to be prepared to play the long game. You've got to be prepared to go the distance. All right. There's been so many guys that came up with that have just fizzled out. They faded away. And they didn't have the passion. They didn't have the credibility. They were just chasing the money. All right? Money's nice, but it's not what's going to keep you going the distance. All right? Because money comes and goes. So, yeah, I like what you guys said. One of the big things today is, like you guys were saying, is the marketplace is very savvy. They're much more mature. They've seen the long, video sales letters, the sales pages. They see the pitch coming from a mile
Do you want to
away.
hear something funny? You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Oh god.
So I went to see my mom, and so I went to her office, and she was on the she's on her computer, just completely enthralled with what she's watching, and she's
Video sales letter?
and she I'm like, Mom, are you okay? She's like, hold on. She's like, hold on. She's like,
There's no pause
she's
button.
She's like, I'm learning.
There's no pause button.
She's like, I'm learning the 3 foods that cure cancer.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, she's pissed off. She's like, I've been watching for 20 minutes. They haven't told me anything. I'm like, they're never going to tell you the foods. You're just going to get pitched.
Yeah, you have to buy the product. You have to learn the foods. Yeah, and one of the foods
But
is
it's
a
so
vegetable.
funny to watch her experience. That's probably the first time she landed on one of those things.
Yeah.
And it's to kind of see the psychology
Well,
process.
there's a reason call centers exist, right? There's a reason sales letters exist. There's a reason infomercials exist. They still work. People are like, oh, do people buy? Well, if they didn't work, they wouldn't be around.
But
So
I think the issue with why I don't like those ones is that it's kind of a trick. Like, I trust people. When I bought stuff, they had to teach me a little bit. Like you said, value, like give for free. Otherwise,
I like the way the internet is now. It's much more challenging. Like you guys were saying, I fully agree. It was a lot easier. You threw up a website. People hadn't seen it before, and it's like exciting. Oh, cool! I can buy something on the internet. Now it's everywhere. But I think what's happened is a lot. I always say the cream rises to the top, and the shit always sinks to the bottom. All right.
Yeah.
So the guys that are legit are rising to the top, and I think again, you play that long game, you'll be on top down the road. So I think you just have to understand, like, people still love buying. Like, people love to buy today just as much as they did 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Everyone loves to buy. I love buying stuff. And I still buy a lot of stuff. I still invest in coaching and seminars. I buy programs. I buy books. Like, I spend a lot of money buying other people's information. So that is still good and true. That's not going anywhere. The thing that's different is the time it might take to just get someone to like, know, and trust you before they're ready to take that next step with you. So I think, the word that we use in our world is called, we have funnels, and what we're essentially trying to do is we're trying to move people from a place where they might not know who you are, and we're trying to help them and give them value to the point where they might be ready to take that next step with you. But you're never trying to force feed it down their throat, because if you keep creating value for someone, when the timing's good for them, they'll come on board.
Right.
I've had people email me say, I've been following your stuff for 7 years. I just bought your first product. It took 7 years. So it's like, if I gave up 6 years ago, wouldn't. So I think you have to understand, people love to buy, but they're going to buy on their time. All right. So as long as you keep putting out great content, people will start to see, is this guy the real deal? Or is this guy just another guy who wants my money? And when people start seeing, wow, this guy's content is excellent, he's consistent, and he's getting results for people, and then they might go check out what you have to offer. But again, until you get that like, no trust factor, until you help them, until they believe what you have to say, and they believe that could be true for them too, they're never going to go check out that thing you have to offer. So the whole business model is revolved around those things.
Right. I think the one thing that I want to add, just to kind of really simplify this whole thing down for everyone, is essentially what we're doing is solving problems. That's it.
That's it.
You can just put in a few words. It's just you're solving problems. That's what gets someone to want to invest in a program. They have a problem. You're not just selling crayons.
Right.
For lack of a better example, you're solving a problem. You got to get really specific. What is the problem you're solving? For Vince, what he was doing is skinny guys that have bad genetics that want to gain muscle naturally. How do you help them gain muscle? It's very clear about the exact problem.
that it was your first 30 pounds of muscle. So when guys would come and say, "Oh, this guy's giving muscle building advice. Look at his scrawny arms. This guy's only 190 pounds. This guy's a clown." Blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not talking to you. I'm helping guys who want to gain their first 30 pounds.
Not their next 30 pounds on steroids.
Go find that guy. He's out there. I'm not here to help you. Take a hike. I got nothing I can offer you. So you're just very clear on who you can help and who you can't help, and
I want to add this.
How it works.
I want to add this quick part. It's, again, with giving value, giving free value. One of my good friends, Nick, he's a genius marketer, but he's in software sales. And she was like, the two things I learned from you, Greg, and I've learned a ton from him, but these two things I learned from you is what you do to sell is you're entertaining. Like you said, you need people to pay attention.
You're really good at that.
You have to be entertaining, and you got to educate.
Yeah.
So if you're selling, if you're solving this problem for helping guys that are skinny with bad genetics gain their first 20 pounds of muscle, to educate them, you got to tell them, this is why the stuff you've tried doesn't work.
Yeah.
This is why, when you've done, just all these isolation exercises, you spend hours and hours in the gym, you didn't see results. If you can educate them why they have this body and they're not seeing results, and then sort of explain, okay, here's how I do things differently. Here's why this works. Then they're like, oh my God. All right. And then when you say, okay, here's the program, and then they're way more sold. So you just have to educate them why they're struggling, and then what the solution is that's different from everyone else. In my survey funnel, when people, if you ever gone through my survey funnel, what I do is I pinpoint exactly what position you're in. I tell you exactly why you're there, why you have trouble leaning down or gaining muscle, and then I explain, here are the specific strategies I use, here's why they work, here's how they're helpful, and here's how to learn more and get a full-blown program. And so it makes absolutely logical sense. If I want to, if someone can tell me exactly, if I'm struggling with something, whatever it is, could be in any different issue, if someone can tell me and keep me engaged.
And I think one thing you do really well is you specify the problem. Like, it's very specific. Like, it's not like you want to build muscle. It's like, do you want to gain a lot of muscle or like a medium amount of muscle? Are you skinny fat? Okay, do you want it? So it's very specific.
You were impressed by my yeah. Vince called me up. He's like, dude, that is genius. Yeah. He's like, that's a smart.
Well, I mean, you know why I said that? Because I used to sell personal training for 6-7 years in an office. So my job was to sell. I was the guy that when you joined the gym, I was the guy that pitched you personal training. I didn't let you leave the office until you signed up for a training package, and that was my specialty. I grew training departments from like 2 trainers to 15 trainers, from like $5,000-$10,000 a month to $400,000 a month in personal training sales, and it was because I could find out so where are you starting? So I can see them, I see what they look like, so I can make a recommendation to, you got to work with this trainer, you need to follow this program, and they get excited. The buying experience is exciting now. It's not like, oh my God, this guy's pitching me. They're like, wow, when can I start?
Because you're solving a problem.
I'm solving a problem, and it's specific.
And you're learning exactly about the customer.
Yeah, I can tell them, okay, so I'm looking at we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You want to bring on your shoulders, we're going to tighten up your waist. We're going to actually start to cut first before we start to bulk, and then and then you just open their eyes up to the process, and then you tell them, hey, this is how we're going to do it. And they're fine with buying because you've educated them. So that when I saw your quiz, I was like, this is how I sell one-on-one. But now you've taken it to the internet and you've allowed people to, essentially go on their own adventure, which is great.
And even the funny thing about the backstory on the quiz was, it wasn't even a marketing thing. I just got questions every day. Gregory, what do I do? What's your advice? What program should I do? With this and that. And I'm like, I'm freaking spending 4 hours a day answering these damn questions, and there's only 8 different answers. There's only 8 different answers. So then I was literally, there's literally, for the most part, 8 different results that I give, and then I'm just like, hey, skinny fat type A, skinny fat type B, this and that, and then just I categorized them, and then made like a more in-depth 10-minute video as opposed to having to write the same answer 1,000 times a day, and then it turned out to be the most powerful generator. And that's the funny thing, is that you want to focus on helping, not selling. Yeah. And if you think about it like helping, then it's way more powerful. But a lot of people come in, they're so greedy. The most successful people, They're like long-term thinkers.
Yeah.
There's like the short-term thinkers that just want it right now,
Yeah.
and the long-term thinkers. Long-term thinkers, they will always win in the end.
Yeah, and it's cool because like I'm an example of that now, 10 years later, and this is probably a pretty cool, interesting story. So, you know, one of the things my dad taught me when I was young was if you want people to look up to you, your life should be what's called a trade up, right? Do you want to live in a smaller house? What car are you driving these days?
The Jaguar F type.
Do you want to drive a Toyota? Hey?
Yeah.
You're living in a beautiful city, you know, do you want to downgrade? You know, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you want to downgrade? Do you want
Yeah,
smaller
no,
muscles?
that's
Do you want worse relationship? No, nobody wants to downgrade.
No one wants to downgrade.
Nobody
yeah.
wants to trade down. Everyone wants to trade up now.
That's also why during the the recession, you had like people that lost half their wealth but still have millions of dollars, and they like were suicidal because they
didn't have
going. It's
So
perspective, yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here, guys, I'm going to tie this together. So people want to learn from people whose lives are a trade up. So early on, I always wanted to be like a public speaker, a motivational speaker, but like how am I supposed to compete with Anthony Robbins? So what I was taught early on was like, well, why don't you become a specialist and help guys build muscle? And maybe if you help people build muscle, then one day maybe they'll want to take advice from you in another area. So I was like, oh man, I want to do all this stuff with my life, but I had to say no. I had to build a platform with an audience that I was passionate about, that I had credibility on. And then over time, they started eventually asking me about other things I really wanted to talk to. And this business became what I call a stepping stone to what I really want to do. You know, I was just telling these guys this past week, and I had a seminar here in Toronto where I had 40 men and women come in from 6 different countries, and I taught them my 6 steps to building an online business. And none of them would have come to learn if I hadn't been doing this for 10 years. Now, I wasn't teaching people how to have an online business in my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or 8th year. I just started this 2 years ago. So I had to build credibility in this area of building a business before anyone even was interested in hearing what I had to say on the subject matter. But now I've got 10 years of credibility, and people now trust me because they're like, you're still going strong. I've seen so many guys come and go, and you're doing this. You don't even have like a crazy big social media following. Like, what the heck? How are you running your business? And you come to the seminar and you'll find out. But so they want to learn, and now I'm starting to do what I really want to do. And while fitness is always my passion, it'll never disappear, I'm maybe just as equally passionate about teaching business. So 10 years later, now I get to do this part, but it's taken time. So I know everybody listening, they want to do everything now, and you can't. You've got to do things one step at a time. Just like you went through high school, university, grade school, you do grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. You can't just blast through it. So if you treat your life that way, you can take some pressure off yourself to try and do it all right now. And now, 10 years later, I get to really talk about business. And I know you guys want to talk about some other stuff, maybe on another podcast that I'm passionate about too, which is relationships. So we'll have to save that for another call.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we covered a lot of stuff.
I think so.
A lot of stuff. And, people sitting in on this, I mean, really, this is more or less like a reality check combined with really solid advice on building a truly authentic business.
Yeah.
Because we've seen companies come in with just these marketers that try and rip people off and just try and just they all they do is focus on the selling, but they don't focus on providing the value, the actual product and the customer service. And so there's companies flying around right now where they're spending tons of money on advertising with these good sales videos and sales pages, the best marketers in the world using it, with just crap products.
Crap products, generic information, horrible customer support, ripping everybody off. They've got some great advertisers, and then once that market, tanks, they go on to another market. They leave a ton of people all frustrated and jaded with the industry, leaving everybody else a bad name because they ruined it for everybody else. And you just got to be aware of these people. If the guy's just been on the spotlight for a few weeks, few months, maybe wait.
And that's why, Chris and I, we love having the podcast, the YouTube channel, running our social medias, our blogs, because it gives people a chance to really get to know us, like us, trust us, to learn absolutely for free. I'm like, holy crap, this advice awesome. And then, of course, if you join a program, then you're gonna get even better results because it's gonna be way more streamlined and effective. But so the people the scammers out there, they'll never teach you anything for free. Like nothing good.
Yeah.
Well, they rip everybody off because they're too busy making money, so all they have time for is to rip off other people. And it's funny because I know some of these guys, I know who they rip off, and they're ripping off bad information. Like, idiots.
Well, good because they don't really know what they're doing anyway.
No.
So yeah.
And anyways, every industry's got people that ruin it for everybody else, but that's not going to be you. You guys are going to do things the right way. You guys are going to play the long game. And I heard a great thing. I know you're not a huge fan of Gary Vee. I think I like him more now than I used to, but he said this really cool thing. I think it's worth sharing. And
Sorry, Gary Vee, if you're listening right now.
that's all right.
I didn't say I'm not a fan of you. I just said, a little work-life balance didn't hurt anyone.
Yeah. We could talk
I'm
about him for a while.
Christopher. Wow, Gary Vee. What if I
Gary
want to
Vee
take
would love us.
Christopher Columbus Day off?
He would love
come
it.
on.
No. So,
We are still working at.
but just to
like
hammer
10
that
p.m.
patience
With
thing
what?
home.
We are still working at 10 p.m. too.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
There you
So
go. He'd be proud of
boom.
us. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's true.
So here's the deal. People like are 22. They're complaining. They want to get rich by like 24. Like, why? What's wrong with getting rich at 32? You're 44. Your business isn't growing. Big deal. What's wrong with making it happen by 56? Like, life is long. Like, you've got a long time. Like, if you play the long game, you've got a bigger perspective, then you can take a big breath and not get so overwhelmed. And one of the big things a lot of people come to me and ask me is, isn't the industry too saturated? Be interested in hearing your guys' point too.
You know what's the funny thing with the fitness industry? That's what everyone told me when I started 6 years ago.
My mentor told me when I started in 2005, true story, my mentor said, I think it's a bad idea to go into this muscle building market. There's too many people selling muscle. That was in 2005.
Any business where there's lots of customers, there's lots of competition.
That's good, yeah.
Any business that if you're solving a huge problem, there's already a million people trying to do it.
And I'll reassure the people who are more fitness oriented with fitness stuff. Like, it's pretty cool because like fitness people are collectors. I don't know about you guys, but if you see my bookshelf, I collect Ironman magazine, Flex, Muscle and Fitness, Muscular Development, Men's Fitness, Men's Health. Like I subscribe to tons of magazines every single month. Fitness people are a little bit weird. We're collectors. Like someone's like, people are like, I can't believe you're promoting so-and-so's program. I'm like, you think people just follow one person the rest of their life? Like I bounce around all the time. Now I don't think there's definitely something to be said about protecting your brand and not promoting every guy on the block, but it's not a big deal to endorse somebody because they're going to thank you if it was a good endorsement. They're going to say, thank you for introducing me to so-and-so. I never knew he existed, and he's got great info too. I didn't even know you guys were friends, and it actually elevates you. Again, you got to be selective. You're not going to promote everybody because then your own credibility will go in the toilet. But a lot of people follow me because of my network. They're like, oh man, you introduced us to this guy, you introduced us to this guy, man. Like, and I become valuable in their eyes. And people are like, oh, you shouldn't promote other people. That might that doesn't look so. Obviously, it's a double-edged sword, but if you do it properly, people will always remember that you made that recommendation, and that actually makes you look like a bigger person because you're not afraid to say, yeah, this guy's really good in this area, which is he's a specialist in, and I'm a specialist in this. I probably wouldn't maybe recommend promoting your direct competition, but people that have complementary abilities to yours, it's a great way to continue to help your people. So we're going off on a different tangent here, but I was just trying to touch on the fact that people are afraid of competition. But here, let me bring this home.
Well, I was gonna say.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
There's one more thing I want to say about competition because I got off on a tangent there. What I meant to say about competition is, don't be afraid of the competition. Make the competition your friend. All right. I've had, I think I've told you this. We joked around about this last year when you and I started hanging out together.
Yeah.
People were sending me messages like, I can't believe you hang out with Greg O'Gallagher. he teaches super heavy weights and like you teach like lighter weight training. Like, how are you guys hanging out together? I'm like,
Well, we can't be
so,
What are you,
oh, man,
5 years old?
I better tell Greg we can't hang out anymore. He promotes intermittent fasting and you're not a fan of that. Like, how, I can't believe you guys are hanging out together. I'm like, oh my god!
It's like
most people
it's like some Ben Stiller,
It's like
Vince
it's
Vaughn
like
dodgeball
we're
movie.
different. It's like we're different religions. We're not allowed to, like, I can't hang out with people of a different religion or a different political view. Like
a vegan can't hang out with a keto person.
oh
or
my
something.
gosh!
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, man. Like, I'd rather have Greg as a friend or as opposed to an ally. You know, we come and, you know, same with
As
Chris.
opposed to enemy. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'd rather
yeah.
I'd rather have Greg as a friend as opposed to an enemy, right? So make your competition your friend. Get to know these guys, collaborate, network, share. You know, build real friendships. Like, become open books with each other. Like, your competition. Like, when Greg is like blown ahead, of course there's going to be a little bit of competitiveness and be like, oh man, he's killing it. But like at the same time, look at the competition as your friend. If Greg is growing, he's going to pull me along. If I'm growing, I'm going to pull him along. So it's kind of like a race, right? Are you trying to win the race or are you trying to run a personal best? If you approach business as you're just trying to run a personal best and you're always trying to do better for you and your family, then you don't have to think about crushing the competition. Like, stupid. That's just ego. Those are the guys that get crushed by themselves. Because again, they got head issues that, you know, they got to settle on their own accord.
Well, even like me and Chris, like I focus more on the physique and fat loss stuff, and Chris focuses more on the hormonal and health stuff. So it's like a perfect kind of balance.
Yeah.
You know, so he can bring in some people, and he'll send me people. I'll send him stuff, and a lot of our followers they're taking some of Chris's products and supplements, and then they're following Warrior Shred or whatever. And so it's nice to have a little, you call it the syndicate.
The syndicate, yeah. And the syndicate was formed a number of years ago with me and 4 dudes, and it's very clear to understand like the structure of it. So there was a couple other good friends that I got started in the industry with, John Romanello, Craig Ballantyne, Joe Marion. And Joe was the nutrition guy, I was the muscle guy, John was the fat loss guy, and Craig was the body weight guy. So it wasn't like 4 or 5 muscle guys or whatever. We were, you know, when guys wanted fat loss, I say, hey, go check out Craig's stuff. When people are coming to me for diet information, hey, go check out Joel's stuff. Those guys, hey, you're looking for muscle, go check out Vince's stuff. And we just had kind of like a mutual network collaboration where we just cross-promoted each other, and that created mutual trust within all of us because like, oh, Joel knows Craig and Craig knows Vince and Vince knows Joel as well. Okay, I guess they're all buddies. I guess I can trust them all.
And they're buying all your products too.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I guess they're all buddies. If I like him, I mean, Vince wouldn't hang out with an idiot. So if Vince trusts him, I guess I can trust him too. Yeah. And as long as nobody does anything stupid, it's a great way to build your, you know, you basically can all start eating off a bigger pie, if you will.
That's like you guys remember in Napoleon Hill, I think it was in Think and Grow Rich or Law of Success, where he talks about the original American mastermind with Henry Ford, Firestone, Thomas Edison, and someone else.
Oh, I know you're talking about the car guy. Firestone, you said Firestone?
Well, yeah, it's Firestone, Ford, Edison, and Rockefeller.
Yeah, there you
go.
Exactly.
So it's the same deal. Like, these guys were all, and they all had like varying levels of intellect, and they all did, you know, different things, but potentially complementary things, because you obviously would need, you know, certain component, like things that Thomas Edison was inventing, Henry Ford was now able to use and build in automobiles, and then Firestone was obviously like probably the least talented but the most intelligent of like riding along with this crew, because now he makes tires for all these cars, and Rockefeller's Rockefeller, but
and just merely being in that crew, they're all putting themselves on that high level. You know, the result of being around the, you know, you're the result of your, you know, the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So, because when Chris and I are together, we get so much done. It's insane. Mm-hmm. And actually, the one little thing I was going to say was that as far as the competition, the fitness industry is super saturated. Like, every industry is very saturated. It doesn't matter how many people there are. You just got to find out how can you do a better job. Mm-hmm. So look at the people in the market. Maybe some of you guys are like, I could do a better job than Chris and Greg on the podcast.
Start a podcast.
Start a podcast.
That's what I tell people. Like, they say that kind of stuff on YouTube comments and stuff. It's like, why don't you do something? Where's your YouTube channel? If you think you have better advice or you could do a better job, why don't you do it?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
We think that's because they won't do it because they won't.
Yeah.
They won't do a better job.
Yeah, I mean, take the comments too seriously.
Yeah.
Don't take your praise too seriously, and you won't take the negative too seriously either.
Oh yeah.
That's the secret, right? The people that take their negative comments too personally are the people that take their praise too seriously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
If you buy into your own hype, then when somebody says something mean about you,
Challenge your
then
identity.
you're like, why? Everybody thinks I'm amazing. You don't? It's like, dude, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, you need a healthy dose of haters.
You know what I also love to say?
If you get 100% hate, then you're
you know
doing
what?
something wrong.
I love my
Healthy
haters.
dose. Yeah.
I want to give every single one of my haters a hug if I got to meet them. You know why? Because they made my skin tough.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have tough skin if it wasn't for the internet.
Wow.
Because I grew up in a pretty good family, and I didn't have like a bad upbringing. So I kind of was I grew up in a very sheltered environment, if you will. So when I started getting ripped apart on the internet, I'm like, why are people so mean?
Yeah.
I've never been like, beat up or
angry all the time.
like I never had like negativity in my life. I'm like, why are these people so mean? Like, why is he saying this to me? Like, I can't believe people talk like this to each other. So the internet gave me tough skin. So I thank my haters for that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like ever since I started doing videos and then reading the comments, I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
But
I have
it
people
toughens
come
you
up
up,
to me
yeah.
all the time. Like, I can't believe you do what you do. Like, don't those comments bug you? Like, they did. Absolutely, they did. But they've made now I've got a bit of armor on that. They don't faze me as much.
Well, it helps. Yeah, it helps you like with any goal in life. Period. Because with the thick skin, you're just like, all right, nothing phases me. Our mentor and business partner Mike Dobson, he had like he's running like tons of different businesses. He's a very seasoned entrepreneur, and one thing he said at a conference, like something was going really wrong, but he was like, at this point nothing phases me. He's like, I could just roll with anything, and because he's in his 50s now and he's been doing this for 30 years.
And I think too, like most of your
Right.
friends, if you look at that, this is a new conversation, but it's interesting. If you look at the negative comments as feedback that you likely wouldn't get from people in your own circle, because here's the deal: your friends don't want to start drama. They don't want to tell you the truth because they value your friendship too much. So they're not gonna like try and say something because it's just not worth it to them. So as someone on the internet though who has no relationship with you, they'll tell you straight up. So you almost get to like find out stuff about yourself that nobody in your own personal circle has the guts to tell you. Yeah. And you're like, I'm hearing this over and over. Vince,
Some of it's good feedback.
Yeah. There's been some great feedback. Vince, you contradict yourself. I'm like, maybe I gotta watch what I say. Vince, you talk too fast. Vince, you're, there's all little sort of things. I'm like, yeah, they're kind of right.
Greg, you're a douchebag.
Yeah.
That's what I get. Greg douche.
Vince, you're an aggressive marketer. I'm like, and sometimes you own the so here's the thing with the comments. Sometimes you just, some people say, Vince, you're an aggressive marketer. I'm like, I am an aggressive marketer. I'm not going to uphold that. That's a true fact. But sometimes people say, Vince, you.
Sometimes people say, Greg, you're so good looking.
Or Vince, Vince, you got to build your arms a bit. Like, okay, maybe I do need to build my arms a bit. Like, maybe I need to figure out, like, maybe I'm not doing something right. Like, so sometimes I always say feedback is the breakfast of champions.
And then also,
right?
And the one issue with the YouTube videos is YouTube is inherently like people that are miserable go onto YouTube to fucking rip people apart to make them feel better, make themselves feel better. It's not a reflection. 99% of the time, it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their own shitty state.
Yeah.
And then also, like, when we go on YouTube, and they're used to watching these guys that are pumped full of every drug under the sun.
Yeah.
And they compare us that are natural to these guys.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, I fucking look small compared to a guy that's running tons of drugs.
And though that, like immediately, that the person on the other side of the computer is maybe, I would say, 13 to 22 years age. 13 to 22 years of age. How many 13 to 22-year-olds would you debate with? You'd just be, dude, I got to go for dinner here, man.
Yeah.
I come out with
Oh, yeah, that's why I don't...
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I got a life story. I got to go. I got 2 kids away. I got to, it's like, I would never debate with a 13 to 22-year-old, and the only people that still believe that are just young kids. So you're just like, it is what it is, right? They're going to eventually grow up, and hopefully one day they go back and delete their comments because they'll be embarrassed of what they posted.
And it's funny because it's cyclical. Like last year, Greg, you're way too jacked. It's not real. It's not eating steroids. And then this year, Greg, you're tiny. Why aren't you 200 pounds? It's like,
And you know what? And here's the thing, guys. Like the comments, like if you're afraid of the comments, they have very little impact, like in the big picture, because your true followers, the people that are actually intelligent, like they get it and they don't engage in the battle, especially like. I think you do.
That's what we call the Road Trip podcast are high quality listeners.
Yeah,
They're like, high quality listeners. These are the good ones. They're smart. They're educated.
Right, and like I don't train my
compare the average IQ
to like punch back. Right, like I don't train my people to like attack. Like I want them to kind of like, guys, this isn't worth your time. I'll deal with this. So like, there's certain guys that train their audience to go take baseball bats to all the other commenters. It's just a shit show. So I'm like, you know, eventually these guys realize that they're not going to get any interaction. They're not going to get fed on my comment board. So they eventually take a hike. So you just kind of create the narrative. You create the energy, the atmosphere, and people, they come, they try and, take a jab, but then they eventually realize that they're in the wrong spot. So it's all about the culture. That's the word I was looking for. It's the culture that you create on your channel, which will dictate like what kind of comment board you create, and you're the leader, so you're in charge of like what you create. All right, so take that. That's a great responsibility. You can guide. If you look at my comments, like there's some really good conversations, guys, going back and forth, like talking about the video, and like there's some smart people that watch my videos. I take pride in that. I get embarrassed when it's all just young kids who are like chitter chattering and saying stupid stuff. I'm like, oh my god, these are the people that watch my videos. Oh man. Yeah. I'm doing something wrong now.
Mm-hmm. I think we should wrap her up.
Yeah.
That was a full, very valuable episode.
I thought these were only 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is our long episode. It's
a double feature.
It's a quadruple. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening. We are so excited to have our guest on, Vince Domani. Where can our listeners follow up with you?
If it's fitness related, best bet, just, follow the YouTube channel. Facebook or Instagram, Vince Domani. You can direct message me on the DM there. If it's related to the business,
except for the lady listeners,
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, please,
slide into his DMs.
My wife does not. Yeah. Check my direct messages, but she will now after this podcast. She's
sorry, Flavia.
She's not worried. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
So, if it's related to business coaching, they can personally reach out to me at vincedelmonte@hotmail.com. I don't mind giving my personal email address just because the only serious people who are probably on the podcast at this point are people that are very ambitious and who are serious about this. So Vince Domani,
that was solid qualification.
You like that?
That was solid qualification, sales skills.
And I'll say one more thing: they're decisive.
Because now they're like, wait, I'm ambitious.
Right.
I'm decisive. I'm an action taker. Therefore, I have to email him, otherwise I'm not.
Well, yeah, and I'm not saying that because it's a trick. Yeah. It's true. If you're not ambitious, if you're not ready to take the next step, or if you're not serious about this, maybe our paths will cross down the road, but the timing might not be right now. So vincedelmonte@hotmail.com. Be happy to talk to you about building an online fitness business.
Tell them that Chris and Greg sent you from the podcast.
And we will let me know. I love finding out where how you found out about me. So, and we'll take good care of you.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to rate, review, and all that good stuff.